As the year 2020 come to an end, many associations are selling the achievement and promising their member what lie ahead of them in 2021. And GBHS Fontem alumni is no different. Welcome to GASA Media, and my name is Ernest, and today I will be welcoming the General Secretary for GBHS Fontem alumni, Dr. Edwin Aroke, who is here to share the achievement, what they have done over the year, and what lies ahead of us in 2020. Dr. Edwin, you are welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for having me.
Okay. Yeah, my first question to you would be, about a few months ago, the national president, Dr. Edwin, launched the batch-by-batch approach to galvanize the entire organization from different batches. Let me just ask you, at what level are we right now with that activities?
I think, first of all, again, thank you for having me. And I want to emphasize that approach we are finding to be very successful. And specifically, I really want to applaud your batch, the batch of 1989-1990, which has really championed this GASA media, because your champion of this media has really helped us to sell that message to other badges. And as of now, up to date, I can count at least 7 to 10 badges which have already organized themselves. I know the first batch have organized themselves, the second batch, your batch, our batch, and so many others. And one of our key strategic missions for the upcoming year would really be to solidify that batch by batch approach to growing the institution and equally supporting our alma mater.
Okay, yes, thank you for that brief update. I know, yeah, because of the changing time, people are having some concern. I'm receiving some text messages that usually the traditional way used to be that maybe towards the end of the year or during summertime, where people converge physically on one location to do fundraising or to discuss issues concerning the organization. But right now, things have changed. Do you agree with this assumption? If yes, what is the leadership doing to meet up with the changing time when people are no longer able to meet physically?
Yeah, so historically, we've met the first week of September, the first weekend of September, or Labor Day here in the US for our convention, but equally for fundraising effort. And as you mentioned, over the last several years, first of all, it started with the armed struggle in Cameroon. That really destabilized our efforts to, build infrastructure at the level of the school. Here in the US, with the COVID-19 pandemic going on, it has equally been very challenging for us to meet in person so that we can again discuss issues of the association, but equally do fundraising. In light of that, like I say, every crisis comes with opportunities. One thing that we have recognized, for instance, is that, yes, we have the pandemic and we have the crisis back home, but that has shown us that we can equally be innovative in our approaches. So, for instance, what we are currently looking at is exploring means by which we can have a virtual conference next year. So come 2021, the executive is really working towards that, making sure that with or without the pandemic, we should have some form of a get together and continue to move the association forward. In terms of fundraising, one other approach that we are really looking at is empowering the different badges. Because one thing that we have learned from spending so much time here in the US and learning from other bigger institutions is there is a lot of within class or within badge brotherhood and sisterhood, so to speak, such that people within the same badges feel much more allegiance to their badge. They can relate to each other, both personally and socially. And as such, our goal now is to strengthen those badges such that if we were to embark on any fundraising activities, it would no longer be the national executive really reaching the individuals, but to reach to the individuals through the different badges. And we'll equally encourage different badges to take up projects at the school, such that, for instance, the batch of 1989-1990 may decide that, hey, they want to take up on the building of, for instance, a well-furnished laboratory at the school. With the guidance of the national executive, we can help now facilitate projects and fundraising strategies like that. So that is that's going to be one of our key strategic ways going forward, is really building that liaison between the different bodies and the central executive. Not just for fundraising, but just to make sure that we are reaching to the different members.
Yeah, Mr. Secretary, thank you for that update and for giving us some earmark, because sometimes with the pandemic, when people are locked into the room, it seems like nothing is happening. Yeah, I think some news just got to us that you guys recently have an extraordinary executive meeting. Will you mind sharing some of the issues that you discussed? If it's confidential, you are fine.
No, I mean, sure. Yes, the executive just met again not too long ago. And our key at that meeting was really coming up with a strategic plan for 2021. And like I mentioned, we recognize that 2021 represents a key year in the history of our alma mater GBHS Fontem. As you may recall, it was founded in 1981. So 2021 will be the 40th anniversary. So one of the key things that we are discussing is, how do we recognize that significant milestone in the history of our school? So we'll be reaching out to members, one, to solicit ideas, but equally to reach out and say, we have to recognize it, maybe in a form of a virtual conference, but in some form or shape, we have to celebrate that significant milestone in the history of our school. Secondly, we discuss ways by which we can galvanize our membership. Historically, the central executive has waited to the general conference to get out to members and say, hey, this is what we are doing. What do we plan for next year? But with changing time, to recognize that, one, we want members to be represented. We want to hear more frequently from our members. So one of the key strategic ways that we have to come up to ensure that happens is that we will form some form of a representative conference, such that members will send in representatives from their batch to form an enlarged representation, kind of similar to what you have with the Congress, so that when the executive meets with this representative, they will be able to, one, listen to what the representatives have to say and equally convey messages to the different badges. Another key strategic mission that we have developed is to do a batch by batch visit by the national president and the national secretary. Our goal is to reach every batch and attend at least one meeting with each batch. The key being that when we want the badges to, one, express their concerns to us so that we are responsive to the needs of the different badges. But equally, like I said, it's very important to us that we hear and are responsive to the needs of each badge. We want the badges to be able to know who the national executive are, and equally to be able to have their voices heard and stay responsive to their needs. Those are some of the key strategic steps that we are thinking of taking in the upcoming year.
Yes, Dr. Edwin, thank you so much. Yeah, you just mentioned something that I think you just answered one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, that because people seem not to know the current executive, who is carrying on what function. But as you said, I think the blueprint that you are pointing out will be able to answer and maybe clear the air and keep the communication on both ways, so that people should know exactly what the executive is doing, and the executive in turn will know what the masses are feeling. Yeah, because of the time constraint, Dr. Edwin, I will be happy to have you here again for you to continue to update our viewers, our audience, so that people keep, sometimes when people are aware of what the leadership is doing, they feel more confident, they feel more, they feel to belong to the organization, and they'll participate more.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I will be glad to meet with you again. In fact, my goal in the near future will be to reach out to you guys to see if we can have a much bigger audience with more of the executive members, not just the president silo and the secretary silo, but to have at least 3 or 4 executive members, so that, again, the members can have put names with faces and really be able to articulate a much more comprehensive vision for the group going forward.
Yeah, so yeah, that will be something that we'll be doing. So Edwin, again, thank you for tuning into our network. Please, you have been listening to Dr. Edwin. He's the Secretary General of GBHS Fontem Alumina. He was earmarking some of the activities that I've done over the year and what lies ahead of us. Please stay tuned to our YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe, leave your comment. You can also follow us on Facebook. Until then, we'll see you next time.